Before we get into all this, I just want to get your reaction to this game.
Complete disgust. As far as I'm concerned, it's an absolute embarrassment. And we can look at it and say Boston just had a bad night. But the reality is they're completely outclassed. They look like a JV team compared to a pro team, not a varsity team, but a pro team in the Cleveland Cavaliers. We all know that LeBron James is the best player in the world. We understand that. We get that. But Kevin Love with his 21 points, 4 of 9 shooting from three-point range. Kyrie Irving plays 33 minutes, drops 23. The Cleveland Cavaliers are walking around laughing at every turn, completely and utterly embarrassing the Boston Celtics to the point where the MVP of the game shouldn't be any of them. It should actually be Isaiah Thomas for being smart enough not to come out for the second half because of that right hip strain. The fact of the matter is, why subject yourself to such an atrocity, which is exactly what this was. It has me looking at every GM in the league, wondering why somebody couldn't do something to make themselves competitive before the trading deadline. Primarily teams within the Eastern Conference, obviously, but I'm thinking about Golden State as well, even though we know that San Antonio can play. Overall, you're just absolutely disgusted. And just to put things into perspective, my man Tim Legler's going to start laughing when I say this. I cut off the game midway through the second quarter en route to Cleveland, outscoring Boston 40-13. And you know what I did? I'm not ashamed to admit it. I actually ran out the house. I went and got some White Castle. I said, to hell with it. I'm just going to go and just eat some White Castle and chill out. There's no need to watch this game. And, you know, you're piggyback and forth, watch Real Time with Bill Maher, watch some of my General Hospital TiVo episodes. I don't have time to watch some nonsense like this. It's a disgrace. It's embarrassing. And as far as I'm concerned, the NBA should be embarrassed for the product that's been put out there compared to Golden State, San Antonio, and Cleveland this year, because there is so much subpar basketball. And as far as I'm concerned, this was the latest example of it. I don't think this would have happened to the Wizards, not in this fashion, not with two bigger guards. But nevertheless, the fact that the Boston Celtics are the #1 seed and look this atrocious speaks to the discrepancy in talent and the discrepancy in the balance of power in this conference. There's no question in my mind about it.
Yeah, Stephen A., I was wondering when I was watching the game as well, if during halftime somebody let LeBron know that he was not a finalist for the NBA MVP award. And I was wondering if he even knew about it out there on the court. But what was your reaction when you saw that he's not even a finalist?
So he deserves it, as far as I'm concerned, and that has nothing to do with his skill set. We all know that he's the best player in the world. We understand that. But when you talk about the most valuable player for a season, you have to take a potpourri of things into consideration. When you look at Russell Westbrook and James Harden, you're talking about dudes that played 80 games. You're talking about dudes that rarely, if ever, took a rest. Now, obviously, LeBron James is considerably wiser than everyone else that plays against him in this league because he's been to 6 NBA Finals, and we respect that. But nobody's questioning his talent nor his greatness. It's just about this reality. Part of being a league MVP is you coming to work every day, making sure that you're ascending as the season progresses, as opposed to going on flagrant roller coaster rides, which the Cleveland Cavaliers went on. Tim Legler can speak to that even more adroitly than I can. He watched this team throughout the year, and even though we all knew they were going to the finals, they were a bit haphazard defensively. They had to work some things out. They weren't always as fluid as you would like them to be. And since LeBron James is the leader and he prides himself on being the leader, thereby responsible for the troops and how they perform around him, then he has some culpability that he has to shoulder when they don't look as sublime as you would like them to look. So again, he's the best player in the world. He's the greatest player in the world. There's nobody to dispute that. And he's probably going to show it throughout this postseason. But it doesn't take away from the fact that throughout from November through mid-April, the Cleveland Cavaliers had its moments when it was on a roller coaster ride. That is something that LeBron James is responsible for. And when Russell Westbrook and James Harden are your MVP league competitions, I'm sorry, they get the nod over you. That's just the way it goes. And Kawhi Leonard never had those kind of hiccups because San Antonio has been stellar throughout most of this season. League MVP is for the regular season. LeBron is the best in the world. That's not why you get the league MVP. You get the league MVP based on how you perform game to game throughout the regular season months, which he has been on the record proclaiming he cares very little about. So if he cares very little about it, why the hell should he get another league MVP award?
All right, Stephen.